Before we head into their science wing, I need to be upfront with you all on something. The head of their R&D, Mogeta, and I, well, we have a past.
Linnet, Olilee, and Karina all looked at Elvinia with curious glances, and none more intrigued than Linnet's. Elvinia couldn't quite say why, but considering how Linnet could react to what Elvinia was about to share, gave her the most irritated anxiousness. Regardless of Elvinia's personal connections, her bond with Linnet was the most special, and well, anything that could possibly diminish that was not something she reveled in. She drew in another deep breath.
You see, Mogeta and I were close.
Well, because you were rivals, right?
Once upon a time, Mogeta was my,
She was your best friend?
yes, well, something like that. She was someone I really cared a lot about. We came from the same moon, and we grew up together. We even attended the same college together. However, as we were developing our specialties regarding arcane science, it was clear we were wanting very different things in our careers. After college, we grew apart.
Wow. So this Mogeta is like the Nega Elvinia? Wow.
You sound worried. Are you not wanting to fight your, other best friend?
We haven't spoken to one another since, and we're probably still on bad terms. It's just that when you see her or meet her, I don't want you to think that I'm that kind of person too. Mogeta became dark, like real dark, during our college years, and I would hate to have her personality affect our relationship.
Linnet stepped forward and hugged Elvinia swiftly and tightly. It only lasted a moment, and as she stepped away, Linnet grinned widely.
Oh, Elvinia, you're being silly. I have been your best friend for 5 whole years. We've lived together, we've laughed together, we've bled together. I know you. Most importantly, I accept you for who you are. I don't care about your past. I care about you and love you unconditionally.
I really am blessed to have you by my side. I love you too, unconditionally. And I'm glad to have a great R&D team in you two.
Olilee wrapped an arm around Karina's shoulders and beamed a cheesy smile.
You can count on us. We'll support you 100%.
Yes.
Linnet leaned in a little closer to Elvinia, and she gestured toward the pair of arcanists. A wide grin spread across Linnet's face.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
No, that's so adorable.
Both Karina and Olilee adopted goofy smiles and blushed a little.
Let's save all the ooey-gooey stuff for later. Vegeta's technology and artifact implementation is going to be crazy, so be on the lookout. No doubt, R&D is protected by some bonkers protections. And then, once we get to her, we're going to have to use all of our combined cunning and cleverness, otherwise Mogeta will kill us.
Oh, we're going to be fine. Yes, this is going to be tough. And yes, I'm not as smart as you three. But we have spirit! More than enough to counter the evil wannabe Elvinia.
Agreed. Oh, yeah. Besides, Karina and I have been working on some cool new artifacts that we finally get to unveil.
Karina whirled her attention to Olilee. Her smile faded from her face.
But we've not field tested them yet.
What better place to test them than on the battlefield? I mean, if they have dangerous side effects, then not only will they most likely affect the enemy more than us, but we get valuable research data.
That's true.
Linnet leaned in closer to Elvinia again.
Under normal circumstances, is it supposed to work that way?
No, it's not. But this is a battlefield. Let's go.
Elvinia, Linnet, Olilee, and Karina entered through the doors of the science wing. In the middle of the hall were 3 gigantic creatures made from stone and metal. As soon as they noticed the group of 4, the giant creatures charged. Karina transformed and covered her body in stone skin. However, Olilee placed a hand on her forearm.
No, sweetie. Let's use our minions.
Karina nodded, and then she pulled out 3 balls from her belt pouch. Likewise, Olilee pulled out a trio as well, and beamed a cheesy smirk at Linnet and Elvinia as she tossed them to the ground.
Sit back and marvel at our wonders!
6 different multicolored balls spiraled through the air. Karina's 3 plopped on the ground and formed into tiny, colorful armadillo-type creatures, while Olilee's spun in the air and became birds. The 3 hulking minions stopped in place, and they all let out loud roars.
Whoa! Those guys are humongous!
Why are they screaming at us? Rude! Look at all that surface area! So much space to latch onto and explode!
Hey, those big guys are trying to kill us. They're hurting emotionally, and they could probably use some hugs.
I love hugs! Yay!
We're totally gonna beat you buzzards for sure! In your dreams, you pack of rats.
All 6 of the minions moved toward the 3 rock and steel creatures, with the armadillos rolling on the ground like balls, and the phoenixes soaring like missiles. When the armadillos were close enough, they bounced up from the ground, opened into their animal forms, and clutched onto the legs of the monsters. They glowed and then exploded. However, the phoenixes were a little more impressive. They slammed into the faces of the creatures, and then they had much larger explosions that were the same colors as their bodies, with hot pink, deep purple, and ocean blue respectively. The creatures' bodies collapsed on the ground.
Wow, your minions' explosions were more powerful. How combustible did you make their blood compared to that of mine?
Well, yours are the Mark 1 minions, while mine are the Mark 2. The Mark 3s were baby shark shaped, but when are we ever in the water, right? Mine have triple the explosive capacity that yours does.
Elvinia pulled out a pair of blue lenses from her infinity bag, and then she slipped them on.
Great job, you 2. I'll be able to detect any artifact signatures, and we can have your minions explode them.
Elvinia led down the hall, and there were in fact a ton of hidden defenses. Once they turned a corner from where the giant minions were, the defenses thickened. A dozen tiles on the floor were carefully concealed and active entrapment runes. There were ceiling turrets that were in place, and wall mounts that would have blasted any one of them in goo, while the turrets obliterated them. They took their time and had their minions blow up each and every trap. From somewhere in the citadel, a massive series of explosions echoed out. Elvinia grinned to herself, for the tiny little drone she had following the Sparkle Guardians would no doubt record everything. She was going to have so much inspiration for future fanfics. They eventually came to the entrance to where Titania Tech R&D was located.
Whoa, get back.
Elvinia pulled Linnet back around the corner and ushered Olilee and Karina back in time before the hail of energy beams zipped past them. Scorch marks were etched upon the adjacent wall of the T-intersection.
Whoa! That could have been messy.
Elvinia peeked around the corner, only so much to catch a glimpse of the situation. A trio of arcanists were behind a small but clearly advanced barrier of energy shields, with what looked like a series of mounted arcane cannons. All 3 of them were trained on that spot, and when Elvinia poked around it, more intense and powerful magical projectiles blasted toward them. Elvinia pulled her head back around in time. The whine of energy cannons was slightly annoying.
They're dug in pretty well. Not even your minions can get in without being mowed down.
How are we going to get past them?
With style, my friends. Let me show you what I came up with.
Elvinia reached into her infinity bag and pulled out a staff with a lapis lazuli triangle tip, almost giving it a spear-like quality. The very end of the shaft, just under the gem triangle tip, had a laser sight. A small red line shot out from the sight, and it was on the ceiling above.
Whoa, what's that?
Portal staff. Thanks to your super reaction time spell effect, I can hopefully pull this off without getting shot.
Oh, be careful.
Hey, it's me.
When the energy fire ceased for a moment, Elvinia quickly leaned around the corner and aimed her staff. She aimed high and lined the red dot high against the wall, towards the top where the wall met the ceiling. The end of her staff glowed brightly, and then a beam shot out. With all of her might, Elvinia pulled back around the corner, just as one of the enemy magical bullets nearly collided with her cheek. Elvinia aimed her staff at the wall in front of them, on the opposite side of the hall, safe from energy blaster fire. Once more the triangle gem glowed, and a beam blasted out from the tip. Another portal opened up on the wall, showing the vantage point from the first portal.
Whoa, cool.
Oh, it's about to get even cooler.
Elvinia stepped up to the portal and then aimed the staff once more, placing the red dot towards the far end of the hall, towards the corner. A third portal was placed. When she created a fourth portal beside the second one closed. This time the new vantage point was somewhat above the enemy arcanists.
Hold me in place so I don't fall in.
Elvinia crept up to the portal, and when Karina and Linnet had hold of her legs, securing them to the floor, Elvinia leaned halfway into the portal. Immediately, gravity tugged at her. Had she not been secured on the other side, then she would have been pulled through. She took careful aim and created another portal directly above where the arcanists were.
Here's for hoping.
Elvinia pointed the staff, started the charge, and then leapt out into the open. The portal she was creating was against the wall, and her back was directly toward the arcanists. Elvinia's insides clenched wildly as the beam struck the wall and opened a portal. A distorted image from above the arcanists showed that they were indeed shooting. Elvinia threw herself to the side with all of her might, and one of the energy bolts nearly clipped her in the back side of the body. Linnet actually yelped, which caused a small smile to appear on Elvinia's face. Elvinia's attention was on the portal, for the energy barrage had entered into the portal. A massive explosion boomed from down the corridor, and the energy fires stopped. Slowly, Elvinia got to her feet, and she gazed to where the trio of enemy Nymphian arcanists used to be. The shields were down, the energy cannons were a smoking wreckage, and the bodies were blackened remnants of what they once were.
Oh my gosh, that was so reckless. Are you okay?
Elvinia dusted herself off, gave a once-over, and then laughed.
I'm fine. They never even scratched me. So, what do you think? Awesome, right?
You are a goddess of arcanists everywhere. Temples need to be built in your honor.
Wow, your application of portal magic was fantastic. I never thought to use portals reactively like that. You are incredible, ma'am.
Okay, steel yourselves. This is where things become less fun and more grave.
We're with you, Elvinia.
Yes!
Elvinia led the way past the wreckage and the corpses into Titania Tech's R&D department. The interior of R&D was quite large, perhaps twice as large as Elvinia's own wing. There were large glass domed areas sectioned off, most likely where the individual arcanists worked. Elvinia squinted due to how many magical artifacts were in the area. They all became beacons thanks to the blue glasses she wore. She took them off and placed them back in her lab coat. There was a large open space with another workstation, one that had various tables, machinery, and equipment in it. Elvinia and the others quietly moved across the R&D floor. A single Nymphian was behind a desk, typing on the computer screen. She had a purple ponytail, a pair of red glasses, and a pair of blood-red irises. Elvinia pulled out the wand and she took a deep breath. It seemed that Mogeta had not noticed her yet. If they could just...
Elvinia, I think we have a problem.
Elvinia turned around and then froze. Her heart tightened within her. Linnet, Olilee, and Karina stood trapped within the rune circles. Nothing terrible was happening to them yet, but they weren't going anywhere. The sounds of clapping drew Elvinia's attention over to Mogeta, who had stood up from her desk. She grinned as she rounded the corner, and then she continued clapping as she closed the distance.
Well done to get past my arcanists. I would expect nothing less from you. I am surprised that you fell for my trap, though.
You had better not hurt my friends, Mogeta. I swear on everything I love and hold dear. If you do, I'll make you pay.
Mogeta stopped within 65 feet or so, and she crossed her arms over her chest.
You storm into my citadel, cause the deaths of my arcanists, and trespass into my R&D domain, and yet you demand that I don't harm your friends. Oh my, you are as kooky as ever, sweet Rhiannon.
You started it. You and your company destroyed my citadel. You killed my team of arcanists. You threatened my city. And even worse, you tried to kill the ones I love.
The ones you love? Well, that was not the intent. It was necessary for my plans. All of this, everything that I have ever done has been building up to this.
And what is this? Wanton destruction and the harvesting of Anam?
No. I finally get to test it. And if it works...
A sudden spiky sense of dread formed in the pits of Elvinia's stomach. There was something strange in the way that Mogeta gazed at her, and in the urgency of her actions.
Oh no. You didn't.
I did. You know me better than anyone else ever has. And you know I wouldn't ever give up.
You actually constructed the rebirth engine.
Yes, I did. And soon, it will be used to bring back someone special. But first, Kolumbia has a request.
Oh no. This is bad.
What? Why is this bad?
Elvinia turned to regard her for a moment, and the vile filth of wanting to puke struck her again.
When we were in college, we both had dream projects that we wanted to accomplish. Mine was developing new Anam harvesting techniques that weren't harmful to the living beings, and we did that. With her, she wanted something darker.
Darker?
Yes, darker. The rebirth engine is a fantastic marvel that I created, and it utilizes advanced necromancy equations to resurrect a once-deceased Nymphian and place them in a new host body. It is a perfect and unholy unification of spirit and body, and the old soul of the body, as it were, is consumed to fuel the engine.
A brief moment of silence lingered between them all, as the vile Mogeta smugly peered at the group of them.
You're wanting to bring someone back from the dead? Oh no. Is that why you kidnapped Duinville?
Yes, even though the child is so young, she will still be a wonderful test subject.
That's not going to happen!
Yeah! Because while the Sparkle Guardians are wrecking the Citadel, Duinville's parents are going to rescue her! Your plan failed!
Mogeta's delight fell from her face, and then she scowled. Casually, she drew a black crystal from her pocket and held it up. Her eyes locked with Elvinia, and the stare was telling. If Elvinia did anything, then Mogeta would activate the trap. Mogeta filled magic into the crystal, and it glowed.
Zarita, this is Mogeta. Check in.
silence.
Zarita, answer me now. Is the child secure?
Once more, silence.
Kolumbia, this is Mogeta. The primary host body has been compromised and we will have to proceed with Plan B.
There was a long, anticipation-drenched moment before the crystal hummed to life again.
The situation was worsened. Plan B is out. We're going to have to proceed with Plan C. Meet me at the rebirth engine.
Plan C. Understood. I will be with you soon.
Mogeta frowned and then glanced up to Elvinia.
Elvinia, I would love to catch up with you more, but I am going to have to leave to bring about a horrid reckoning. The beautiful thing is that you're going to let me leave.
Oh, am I? And why would I just let you walk out of here?
Obricta Vexa!
Suddenly, the red rune circle prisons that kept Linnet, Karina, and Olilee in place started to throb, and then they started to shrink slowly.
No!
Mogeta pointed to the desk where she had been sitting before.
Because the only way you can avoid your friends being squished to death is to deactivate the traps. See you soon, Elvinia.
Elvinia sprinted toward the computer, not even looking back at Mogeta. The panicked yells of her best friend and her two arcanists prickled at her, and so she ran harder. When she got to the computer, she didn't even sit down, and she started typing on the keyboard. However, as soon as her eyes fell upon the screen, her heart lurched within her. The wallpaper of the computer had an image, a photo of a younger version of Mogeta and Elvinia. They were holding one another, and they were locked in a kiss. Eyes closed, absolute bliss cascading from them. That was before Mogeta revealed her growing obsession with dark magics. To be specific, this photo was taken the summer before Mogeta's sister, Phenie, died. No, she couldn't think about that now.
Hurry! Please!
Elvinia opened the right program and executed a few commands. The red circles on the ground, squeezing against the bodies of her friends, faded from view.
You freed us. Thank you.
That was really intense.
Elvinia ran up to them.
We have to go find Elfreda and let her know what their plan is. It's bad. Like, really bad.
Why? Who is she trying to resurrect?
Elvinia and Linnet locked gazes, and in that moment they seemed to share thoughts.
Merica! She's going to resurrect Merica!